Hi everyone. Today I want to share a personal story because if you're freelancing, this is something that you're almost guaranteed to experience at some point. Not getting a contract you really thought was yours. So recently I went after a contract that I really thought was a perfect fit. It was in an industry I'd worked in frequently before. I had the exact experience that they were looking for in their request. And from my perspective, the interview process went really well. Honestly, I thought I had it in the bag. And then I learned I didn't get it. In all transparency, I'll admit I was disappointed because the work not only matched my skill set, but this was a higher paying contract. So I'm fortunate. I've built a freelance practice that keeps me busy. I'm very grateful for the work I have. I can honestly say that I really enjoy the work that I am currently doing for all my current clients. But I've also been thinking strategically about how I can work less and earn more so that I'm doing it smarter, not harder. And this opportunity felt like a perfect way to move closer to that goal. But don't worry, this story isn't a tragedy because there is an empowering part to this story. Even though I didn't land this contract, the experience of going through the motions of trying to acquire the contract reinforced a few important truths for me. First, my skills and experience are valuable, and I need to continue to promote that value confidently. Second, the right opportunities, both financially and professionally, are still out there for me. This no and every other no that I've received is not necessarily a loss. Sometimes it's clearing space for yes that aligns perfectly with both my skills and goals. And my life experience, both personally and professionally, have taught me that this is 100% true. Now, of course, there are other lessons I have learned that I feel like are worth sharing, so hopefully you are still listening to hear them. Here are the lessons that I specifically took away. First, allow yourself to feel disappointment. It's natural to feel let down, and pretending it doesn't matter won't help. At that point, you're literally pushing down those feelings and bottling up that frustration, and it only adds to your stress. So I've learned to give myself space to acknowledge the disappointments, such as this one, and say something along the lines of, wow, I really wanted this contract. It stings that I didn't get it. And that honest acknowledgement helps me and will help you reset emotionally and move forward with clarity. Second, ask for feedback. When I learned that I did not receive this contract, I immediately reached out to the client to learn why I wasn't chosen. The feedback I received was that I came across really well and that they liked my experience, but ultimately they felt another candidate was a slightly better fit. While it was a bummer, that was incredibly valuable to hear. It reminded me that sometimes it's not about doing anything wrong. It's about the universe's alignment, timing, and the specific needs of that client. Next, you want to reflect on your presentation and the value that you bring to the table. I firmly believe that's where the growth happens. So in not getting this contract, I obviously really reflected on why. And I realized that I might not have promoted my value as best as I could have. Because I know that my experience for this particular gig was a perfect fit. Or at least in my eyes, it was a perfect fit. But sometimes I hold back because I don't want to sound braggy. But As I progress through this freelance journey that I'm on, I'm realizing that sometimes you have to be a little braggy because you have to clearly communicate what unique value you bring to the table, and that being a little braggy isn't arrogant when it's framed as helping the client understand how you can solve their problems. So now, and in future proposals and interviews, I'm going to make sure to highlight my successes more confidently without apologizing for my expertise. I've actually been practicing in the mirror. If you don't know that technique, that's Louise Hay, who was a motivational speaker. She's unfortunately deceased, but her work really lives on. She would practice affirmations and other things in front of a mirror to see how she sounded and looked. I found that practice is very valuable. If you haven't tried it, I advise you to. I know it sounds silly, but try it. Trust me. Next, you want to reframe the experience of not getting this contract. Know that it doesn't mean that you failed. Sometimes the opportunities just don't land because they're not the best fit for you, even though, as is the case in this one, it really seemed that it was the best fit. But in fact, obviously, the other candidate's style must have aligned better with the client's needs. And I have to say, that's okay. The silver lining is that when an opportunity is right, it will fit and we will get that contract. Not every no is a rejection. Sometimes it's a redirection for us. Now let me repeat that. It's important. Not every no is a rejection. Sometimes it's a redirection for us. Last, every contract that you don't get can teach you something. It sharpens your communication, builds your presentation, and ultimately builds resilience. For me, this experience reinforced that I need to speak boldly about my value, and also reminded me that the right contract is the one that's truly the best fit for me, my skills, my style, and my availability, and that it's still ahead of me. So in summary, disappointment is part of the process of freelancing. You definitely have to develop a slightly thicker skin as a freelancer, but if you approach that disappointment thoughtfully, ask for feedback, reflect on your approach, communicate your value, and reframe your experience, I am confident that you will turn every single setback into a stepping stone that inevitably progresses you and moves you forward. After all, freelancing isn't just about landing contracts. It's about learning, growing, and positioning yourself personally and professionally so that when the right opportunities come along, you're ready to claim them. So remember, in situations like this one, a no is likely setting us up for our next yes. And that's what really matters. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Please like and subscribe if you found value in this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.